guys. Good evening. Welcome to Inspirations for Your Life. It's great to be with you here tonight. It is August 2nd, 2025. It's a Saturday night. And for you guys that don't know, Saturday is where we start our week off. We go from Saturday to Friday. We go from basically the master topic, which I'll give you in a second. And then every day there's a granular topic that ties into the master topic. So if you're here for the first time, well, a big warm welcome to you. Thank you so much for coming out. If you're coming back the second, third, or the millionth time, I really do appreciate you, repeat viewers, coming back. Really do appreciate that. Our master topic for this entire week is refining what really matters from possession to purpose. This is series 4, show 32, and yes, it is episode number 1. All right, guys. So don't forget to check out believemeachieve.com for more of my amazing, inspiring creations. That is after the show. You can do that 24 hours a day. For those of you who don't know me, I'm John C. Morley, serial entrepreneur. I am a podcast coach, podcast host, video producer, marketing specialist, engineer, graduate student, and a passionate person that loves to learn and likes to help other people learn as well. So welcome. Have you ever felt overwhelmed by the nonstop grind or pressure by hustle culture? This episode is just for you. Today, I'm unpacking the real cost of constant hustle and why slowing down might be just the smartest move you ever choose to make. Whether you're chasing that big goal or just trying to find balance, I'll guide you through how to break free from burnout, embrace rest, and still achieve greatness. Let's dive in together and redefine what success truly means. If you're thirsty, of course, or you want some water, or you want a snack or some fruit, go ahead and run and get that and hurry on back, all right? So number 1 is hustle culture. So hustle culture glorifies burnout in today's world. We often wear our busyness like a badge of honor. But glorifying hustle means accepting burnout as a norm, which isn't, well, sustainable or very healthy for our bodies. When pushing yourself becomes the only measure of worth, you risk sacrificing your health and happiness for fleeting productivity. True success isn't about how hard you grind, it's about how well you thrive. Number 2, rest is productive too. Rest isn't the enemy of progress, guys. It's the fuel that powers it. Taking intentional breaks restores creativity, sharpens focus, and improves decision-making. When you prioritize rest, you're investing in your long-term success, not just short-term gains. Remember, even the busiest engines need to cool down to keep running strong. So you guys know how I do things. I have basically a piece of paper, and I write down all the things I need to do. But sometimes there's some things on that list that they don't get done, and they go to the next day. It's not often that happens. But there are sometimes some things toward the end of the list which could be done the next day, but I always try to get them done. And it's rare that that happens, but it does happen once in a while, especially with school and maybe I'm doing some things for studying. Number 2, rest is productive too. Rest isn't the enemy of progress, guys. I know you might think that. It's the fuel that powers us. Taking intentional breaks restores creativity, sharpens focus, and improves decision-making. When you prioritize rest, you are investing in your long-term success, not just short-term gains. Remember, even the busiest engine needs to cool down to keep running strong. And I want to tell you that, sometimes I'm doing a lot of things, as you know, but I do take my rest. And tomorrow I'm actually running a hike, and it's not a short hike. It's like over 3 hours. And so that's something that I really enjoy because that allows me to refuel. There's some other guys on the trail that I run the hike with, and it's all about that connection of being outdoors and really just embracing it. Okay, I think that's important. So remember, even the busiest engines, as I said to you, need to cool down to keep running strong. In fact, most engines, when they heat up, they actually will have to shut down for basically what they call a thermal overload so that the engine doesn't burn out. A lot of good engines have that. Number 3. Constant busyness doesn't equal value. Although many people think it does, it really doesn't. Filling every minute of your day doesn't automatically translate to meaningful accomplishments. My dad always would ask me, John, are you busy? Are you busy? Are you busy? Oh, I may not be busy at the moment, but I'm working on things. I'm leading things. Well, but you're not busy at the moment. Well, No, I'm not busy at the moment, but I'm cultivating some stuff. Oh, well, you're not busy then. Sometimes less is more. It's about focusing on what truly moves the needle instead of just keeping, well, busy for busyness sake. Quality beats quantity every single time. Now, I know we've said before, done is better than perfect. Now, that's the whole concept of procrastination. But I don't want you to just like give up and just do anything, right? You want to put your best foot forward. Number four, your worth isn't tied to your output. You are more than what you produce or achieve. Your intrinsic value comes from who you are, not how many tasks you check off your list. When you untether your identity from constant output, you open the door to, well, self compassion and deeper fulfillment. I think that's something many people don't get a chance to share. Number five, a full schedule can hide an empty life. It's easy to mistake a packed calendar for a full life, but often the opposite is true. Overloading yourself with commitments can leave little room for joy, reflection, or connection. Make space for what nourishes your soul, not just what fills your time. Number six, always grinding. Ask for what nonstop hustle without purpose can lead to exhaustion and confusion. Take a moment to ask yourself why you're grinding so hard. Who are you trying to impress? What are you trying to prove? What are you really working toward? Clarifying your why gives you hustle, direction, and meaning, making the effort worthwhile. But just to burn the midnight oil all the time, well, that's not smart. I mean, we'll all do things like we stay up late because we're trying to get things done. Like, I know when I'm going on a trip, sometimes there's a lot of stuff I have to get done. And it always seems like I'm burning some midnight oil to get it done and then going to sleep. But trying to do that better, but it's not always easy. Number seven, sleep, guys, isn't a luxury. It's fuel. Never underestimate the power of good night sleep. It's not a luxury, as I said. It's not reserved for some people. It's everyone. It's not just for the elite. It's essential for peak performance, mood regulation, and overall health. Protect your sleep like your most valuable asset because it truly is. When you don't get your sleep, it's kind of like what happens when you don't get your food. Well, it's kind of like you get this energy crisis. Well, same thing can happen if you don't get your sleep. Number eight, silence can teach more than any noise. In the quiet moments and confines of life, you learn the most about yourself. Silence allows reflection, creativity, and clarity to the surface. That's what it's about. It allows reflection, creativity, and clarity to come to the surface. When you stop the noise, the chatter, monkeys, I like to say, in your head, both the external and internal, you create space for insight and growth and the ability to have real transformation and progress. Number nine, overworking steals joy in small doses. Burnout doesn't always come in one big wave. It often creeps in bit by bit, stealing small moments of joy along the way. Pay attention to the little things you start missing, laughter, hobbies, or simple peace. Guard those moments fiercely. I know sometimes I get busy. I'm like, oh, I don't know if I can do the hike. I'm like, no, I'm doing the hike. I am doing the hike. I deserve the hike. I need that recharge. Number 10, being still doesn't mean falling behind. Taking a pause doesn't mean you're losing momentum. Sometimes the greatest progress comes from stepping back, chilling, having a glass of water, right? Having an ice cream cup, recalibrating, and then moving forward with fresh energy and purpose. Stillness is a strategic move. It's not a setback, guys. If you're always rushing, you're missing life. Life unfolds in moments, not to-do lists. When you're constantly in a rush, you miss the richness of everyday experiences. The smiles, the conversations, the simple pleasures. Slow down to truly live. Okay, I think that's a very important thing. Number 12, pause to feel, not just perform. It's easy to get caught up in achieving and forget to check in with yourself emotionally. Taking time to feel your feelings, not just push them aside, builds resilience and self-awareness, key ingredients for lasting success. Now, you might not believe me until this actually comes up in your own, let's say, domain. Number 13, hustling without direction is wasted effort. Working hard without a clear purpose or plan is like Running on a treadmill, you burn energy, but you don't get anywhere, right? It's meaningless. So set intentional goals to ensure your hustle leads to growth, not just exhaustion. Number 14, don't confuse motion with meaning. Moving a lot doesn't always mean moving forward. Reflect regularly on whether your actions align with your values and your goals. True progress happens when motion meets meaning. And a lot of people think that they've got to move faster because they're not seeing progress, but then they burn out. You can slow down and still succeed. Success isn't a sprint, it is a marathon. Remember, you can't run the entire race, you'll collapse. Slowing down can increase creativity, improve decisions, and sustain energy. Remember, it's about lasting impact, not the quick wins. People out there that think success is about the quick win slowly, or say, find out that it's not. And then they become so, well, disappointed with themselves and everyone else. And it's not about that, guys. It's the fact that you misunderstood the whole concept of what it really is. I think that's probably a very, very big thing for a lot of people to understand. All right. So here's the part of the show I really like. I'm going to go ahead and give you basically a personal lesson of mine or story. And it's my hope that it will solidify, it will get you to appreciate how to move forward and why you weren't moving forward in the past, right? I don't want you to chastise yourself for the fact that you didn't move forward. No, I want you to not look back. I want you to just look back at the fact that it was a lesson, but I want you to throw away everything else emotional. So if something else brings you down, just take away from the lesson what you learned from it. Maybe you learn that you have to get up early in the morning. Maybe you learn that before you spend all that money, you have to do some research, right? There's lots of lessons, but let's not be upset because the lesson cost you money or because maybe you feel bad or you didn't get where you want to go. Just realize there was a lesson there and just focus on the lesson and then throw away everything else because you can always redo things, right? But if you don't learn the lesson, you know what happens? You have to do the same thing over and over and over again. And that's Einstein. That's insanity. You're doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results. Hustle culture glorifies burnout. I've said that. When I first launched my very first business, when I was actually still a sophomore, junior in college, I believed the only way to succeed was to outwork everyone. I'd wake up at 5 a.m., I'd skip meals, and I'd fall asleep at my desk. Now, I still get up early in the morning, but I also don't do burnout like I did before. People applauded my grind, but inside I was unraveling, exhausted and irritable and disconnected. I mistook, let's say, constant motion for progress and validation for wellness. Today, I realize that if my body needs rest, well, I'm going to slow down. I'm going to meditate. I'm going to listen to music. I'm going to chill because I'm important. Because if I don't take care of myself and love myself, everything else I do will fall apart. So I have to love myself first. The real wake-up call came when I missed a close friend's wedding because I couldn't, let's say, afford to take a break. That moment forced me to reflect on what I was sacrificing. Burnout doesn't happen all at once. Like I said, it's a slow erosion of joy, health, and purpose. I've since learned that success without well-being is just, well, a slow form of failure. Even if people around me seem to be getting further, they may be, and it may be an illusion or maybe not. But I know one thing, if I can do things slowly and I can stay on the mill and not fall off, I will definitely last a lot longer than anybody. And I will achieve success and be around to enjoy it, not be tired. Rest is productive too. There was a period, guys, when I felt guilty for taking even a day off. I thought rest meant weakness or laziness. But when I finally took a week-long vacation, completely unplugged, something amazing happened. I returned with clearer ideas, better focus, and more energy than I'd felt in months. Many of you guys know that I was an intermediate skier. I did break my tib and fib at no fault of my own. I'm not going to get into that now, but it was all because the mountain, Hunter Mountain, the grandfather left the resort to his kids instead of selling it, which he should have done. They knew nothing about skiing, nothing about money, nothing about resorts, nothing about hospitality, nothing. And so they ran a very poor resort. They went from a positive 5-star to a negative 5-star in less than a season. And the day that the mountain was open, it should have been closed because the conditions were not safe. But they needed the money, so they didn't really care. So again, understanding this is key. The experience changed how I view rest now. It's not the opposite of productivity. It's a prerequisite for it. If I put too much grind into studying, well, then I'm not going to want to study more. So I want to make sure that, I work hard in one sense, but again, I don't really work, as you guys know. I play hard. And in business, well, I create hard, is what I like to say, but I have fun doing it. And I now schedule regular no-goal days to simply rest and reset and breathe. My creativity and quality of life have improved dramatically. And more importantly, so has my quality of life. Number 3, constant busyness doesn't equal value, as I said. I used to believe that I wasn't busy. I wasn't important. I filled every time slot in my calendar, juggling meetings, side projects, networking calls, you name it. This was right around the COVID time. But then I realized, what am I doing? Like, who are these people even getting on my calendar? And then I started realizing that they don't get the right to book an hour or two with me and just eat up my time. They get like 15 minutes. And I started being very, let's say, careful about what time I made available. If I needed to do something, I blocked my schedule, and my automated system would not be able to take that time. But the more I did, the more disconnected I felt from what mattered, which has got me to realize that I'm putting my time out there and people are wasting it. And these people aren't even worth my time, with all due respect. Some were trying to pitch me something, and they really didn't deserve my time, unfortunately. Eventually, I realized I was addicted to being busy, but starving for meaning. When I started focusing on fewer, higher impact activities, my effectiveness soared. When people meet with me for a pre-chat, I'm not rude, but I tell them what they need to do. 1, I thank them very much for doing it. I tell them you need to watch at least 1 or 2 shows in its entirety, and then figure out which show and tell me why they're a good fit and put an outline together. By the way, I'd like to let you know it's not a sales show. I also let them know that when we have the meeting will start right on time, and I will wait 7 minutes, no more. If you're not in the room by 7 minutes, I will go ahead and end the meeting, and there's a good shot that I might not want to meet with you again, because unless it was an emergency, right? People hopefully understand when you do that, your time is valuable. Your time is valuable too. So realize that and know that you have more power than you think. Now I leave open space in my schedule intentionally, but just for me, not for my schedule to be able to fill up. And it's where my best ideas and breakthroughs happen. Sometimes it's going to be going to do sports, going to do a hike like I'm doing tomorrow. Maybe it's doing something else, like maybe I'm going to a cooking class or whatever it is. But I just really enjoy my me time. And I know a lot of people that don't. You need to. Your worth isn't tied to your output, guys. There was a time when I introduced myself based on what I accomplished, my job title, my latest launch, or how many hours I worked. But when, let's say, I had a challenge of my leg, tib and fib breaking, I realized that even though I was kind of resting, I also was a little bit in a panic because I was trying to get so much rest in. It wasn't natural. I mean, I would do it every week and it was great, but I needed to make sure that it wasn't just like once in a while, that it was happening more religiously, more on a schedule. And when I knew that, it's kind of like if you like chocolate cake like I do. And my grandfather loved chocolate cake too on my dad's side. And so he would have a piece of chocolate cake. But, the thing is, you have to realize that you got to do things in moderation, right? If you suddenly try to jam down all this chocolate, well, you're going to get sick, right? It's not going to be good for you. You're going to get fat. But if you have a little piece of the chocolate cake, like tonight, I had tiramisu cake. Now, normally they say you're supposed to have a third of the cake, or whatever the thing is. I have one little ladyfinger, like one little slice, which is very small. And that makes me happy. So when we do these things and they're not force-fed to us, we want to do more of them, and the body can appreciate that. Just like when you eat. If you eat slower, you're going to find that you're actually going to be able to digest better. So the pausing showed me something powerful. I still mattered. And even when I wasn't producing, my relationships, my values, and my presence had worth all their own. When people were asking to meet with me and they saw I was busy, they no longer were getting jealous that I had time. I just told them everything was on my calendar. And if it's not on my calendar, it's not happening. Even my friends are like, we want to go out. I'm like, well, get on my calendar. And it was a way to make sure that I knew what was happening in my life. It was uncomfortable to learn, but freeing, nevertheless. Now I work hard at playing, but I don't measure my worth by it anymore. I just know that I'm putting immense value in the world, and I know that I'm planting seeds, and I know those seeds will keep growing every day, just like my podcast does. A full schedule can hide an empty life. Years ago, I looked incredibly successful on paper. I had bookings every single minute of the day. When I finally had a quiet weekend to myself, I realized how hollow things felt. I didn't know what brought me to joy anymore. So I started saying, I need to clear space just for me. I rebuilt things that I had never done before. It turns out the full life I was chasing had nothing to do with my schedule. It had everything to do with what I allowed into it. I think that's an important thing. When you have an automated system and people can just get on your calendar, you have to be careful of the time that you allow that calendar to use, because if you don't, people just get on the calendar. I remember there was this one neighborhood project. I'm going to give you the name of it, but thought it was interesting. But you know what? Everybody there wanted something for nothing. I remember giving some door prizes, and there was a gentleman, God rest his soul. Unfortunately, he passed away. We did a great promotion for him. But there were other people that we did stuff for. And, everybody just wanted the free stuff. And they all wanted to pitch you. And to be honest with you, these people, with all due respect, are not worth my time, because they're really just doing the same thing over and over again. And they're not getting different results. And I started realizing when I went to this that they seemed interesting, but they weren't going anywhere. They were either asking me for money. They were asking for my advice. They wanted me to mentor people. They wanted me to run things. And I was like, this isn't going anywhere. I have no vested interest in this. Always grinding, asking for what? I remember burning the midnight oil on a project that, in hindsight, didn't align with my values. I said yes because it seemed impressive, not because it meant something. After months of stress and little satisfaction, I asked myself the hard question, why am I doing this? Now I only do projects, not because they're profitable, but because they resonate with me. I won't just take a client just because it's going to make me money, because that's not important in my life. It's important that I get both, the money and the client that I love working with, because then I'm not working. That moment helped me realign. Now I only take on work, as I said, that connects to a clear why, an impact, a growth, a purpose, a passion of mine. When you grind without direction, well, it's like taking the cheese, and you just kind of ground, and well, if you don't pay attention, you may never get anything off. You might get 1 and 2. You got to pay attention how you're grinding the cheese, right? They're monopicadine or whatever it is. So when you grind without the direction, you end up lost and depleted. In my case, I ended up with less than a teaspoon of Parmesan cheese when I should have had a whole bowl, all because I wasn't focusing on where my hand was over the grater. And so when your why is strong, even the hard days feel meaningful. And we're going to get hard days. I like to say we're going to get challenging days. Sleep isn't a luxury, guys. It's fuel. There's a stretch where I proudly pulled all-nighters to meet deadlines in college. But I don't do that often, once in a while. And I brag about how little sleep I needed until it caught up with me. And then I had to do the Friday or Saturday crash. And so when I was crashing for the weekend, it wasn't because I was drinking or anything like that. It was because my body needed rest. So just knowing that Saturday morning I could just blow it off and just chill in bed was really great. So if you have to do those things, make sure that you get your body some rest, because you can't operate like that all the time. Silence can teach us more than any noise. On a solo retreat, I spent 24 hours in complete silence. No phones, no conversations, no distractions. At first, it was a little uncomfortable, but soon my thoughts began to settle and deeper insights bubbled up. I realized how much noise I was constantly surrounded by: news, chatter, internal pressure. Since then, I carve out silent time weekly. It's where I reconnect with myself, hear my intuition, and remember what truly matters. Sometimes the quiet speaks the loudest, but are you really paying attention to it? Do you silence things around you? Overwork steals joy, guys, in small doses. I didn't notice this as I was burning out until I stopped laughing. When you stop laughing, that's a problem. I used to enjoy spontaneous calls with friends or listening to music while working. Slowly, these disappeared and they were replaced by just deadlines. And so it wasn't a dramatic crash, it was a gradual erosion of joy. I knew something had to change. Now I fiercely protect joy. I make space for silliness, connection, and hobbies. Because without these small joys, what's the point? And even though it may not fit in my calendar, I leave open time. And I spend time with the people that fuel me, not the ones that steal my joy. That's the most important thing I want to share with you. Being still doesn't mean falling behind, guys. When I was offered actually a promotion for a client, a project I was working on, I paused instead of accepting immediately. I took a weekend to reflect. The stillness gave me the clarity to say, you know what? I don't want to work with this client anymore. They're taking my joy away. They're not appreciative of what I deliver. And I just don't want to be part of their journey anymore. If you're always rushing, you're missing life. Stop rushing. One morning, I rushed out the door, phone in hand, barely acknowledging the sunrise or my neighbor's greeting. I think that could be a problem. That evening, I couldn't remember a single meaningful moment from my day. If this happens to you, it's time to slow down. It's time to take a breath and just enjoy the birds, the thoughts, and what your own breath sounds like, what your heart sounds like. Pause, everyone, to feel, not just perform, even though people say you have to always perform. It might feel strange or numb, but yes, do it anyway. Hustle without direction is wasted effort. I once spent 6 months working on a product that ultimately flopped, not because I didn't work hard, because I hadn't validated the idea first. It was my very first idea in business. Now, before I dive into any project, I ask 3 things. Does it align with my goals? Who's it for? And what problem does it solve? Those are very key things, guys. Don't confuse motion with meaning. I had days when I completed 20 tasks, but ended them feeling, unfulfilled. Make sure that they're doing the right things for you. And you can slow down. Don't make the excuse that you don't have time. Because if you don't slow down, you'll be forced to slow down. And you're not going to like that. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm John C. Morley, serial entrepreneur. Check out BelieveMeAchieve.com for more of my amazing, inspiring creations. I'll catch you real soon, everyone. Be well and start refining what really matters to you, your purpose.